Idir 1986 agus 1990 chas Blackley agus an bhí ar a chéile, cholah bhliain I gluifi canis pelle chóide Lion. Tíana míocht idir córsin nach neacha I léagóchain.
Meath supporters swarm onto Croke Park.
And now the grand parade before the All-Ireland final in Croke Park, Dublin.
Bhí ré ógaid Blackley faoi Kevin Heffernan go príomhcha ó lár na seachtúidí fed Gemliana.
Jimmy Keevy, a goal! Oh, what a goal! Impossible angle, about a minute and a half gone on the game.
Is fear rá go raid a pell Blackley as a bhásach, níideag seachtú ceir. Nar a grú siad críomh na héireann dar ríre gan chunne. Níd hiicmuid ag an am gur a ré glórhar orgamach rúb. Idir seachtú ceir agus 8-3 grú siad cheir a chríomh ar a éireann. Agus in tréimhse sin freisin grú siad 7 gríomh a cúige Lion.
I came on the scene in 85 actually as a young 21-year-old. Putting on a Dublin jersey around that time in the 80s, you always felt that Leinster titles were not an issue. They were there, they were taken for granted, they were just part of the process on the way to an attempt to win All-Ireland.
Croke Park, the headquarters of the GAA in Dublin, where this final is to be played.
Ed fánaíocht sa bhásach a bhí an bhí. Craobh na héireann go nuair dhearnach in 1967.
And a high right footed one. 30 counted in under it. Gets his fist through it, the goal for Meath.
Agus craobh Lion go nuair dhearnach in 1970.
Meath football was in total disarray at that stage, at senior level, and we probably weren't getting great leadership or guidance, or we weren't aspiring to anything much as young guys in there, because there wasn't really a huge amount at that time to aspire to.
Ach an 1982 capú banisteoir nó, Sean Boylan.
Hálas tócha rud an chunspóideach sa gunda. Ní ra éon cháil pelle chorbe Sean Boylan, ba imróid ítach omána, ba banisteoid omána chlobbanna, agus ní dóilm sa gur dtína gunda na mí ró hásta gur capua mar banisteoid an bhuidan pelle. Oh, nach iad bhí dal mú.
Agus an sin an cinál tréinál agus an structúr tréinál a bhí ag Seán, thug sé amach go betísteirnéad, thug chuir sé suastead ar an gáine agus tréinál sa ngíomhde agus rudí eile áitichaí náthrinne éon fuin as chun na mí rivision.
Sean coming in, first of all and foremost, made a massive difference. His attitude and the sort of training regimes and just one word, professionalism that he brought to the whole thing that was sadly lacking in the past.
1986 Chasantá idir ar a chéile gluifi canis Lion. Honnig fuidan banistíocht a nua gorbacht ar Heffernan ina measc Brian Mullins. Ach bhí brú ar bhainisteoir na mí, céir de dheach Boylan as a chu dimidúí.
Bhí anhrú a Seán, cheap go bé cinnte go bhéit rá gur be tús agus deide Seán a bheáin dá gáileach siad a 1986.
Dublin were the kingpins at the time. There was nearly like a hoodoo there that we can't beat them, we can't beat them.
But droch lefe pelle bhí glefe canis Lion an 1986 ach ní chuir te sin neidir sin iontasart mar sé ceann gan na laintí smes a báistí bhí bát go chrócaí. Ní licich se lochas Paul ná deolas ifrin. Bhí chuile bhraon báistí chomór le do ghoran. So clufe an fisiciúil henne sé sin le condemnamí.
The day actually suited Meath. They were a very agriculture team as far as we could see. And that probably what it always came down to was that city versus country, typical city versus country clash. But every game against Meath and Dublin was a very tough game of football and a cruel game of football and sometimes brutal and quite ruthless. And that's just the way it was played.
Are the winds of change about to sweep over Leinster football? Or will Dublin prevail for the 4th year in succession? Little or no space available. Just look at that.
Ní rá mór an daoine róbórtha faoi slándálacht there an park, so, you know, mar fine tú bille or mar for tú bille, well, beagnach just landíine a ráin ar smaoine daoine faoi. Slide tackles agus mar sin de rihan clé sin.
Mar a bhí sú leis, le clia chun cín. Ach dara achtar bháin an méid a bhí ná go bhle clia.
Barney Rock requires attention.
den ó méid riamhlatham ceann den rudaí a tharla ná go gortaíocha a Barney Rock agus bhí an é thugant an park agus be caiiliúint mór é sin de bailach clí agus bhí tionachar mór an gorta sin an clé.
It didn't help Dublin, but it certainly helped us. There's no doubt about it.
Sa dárna le, bhain an bhí chola leasas an méide tharla. Bhí dícas agus láidireacht a baint lena chuid imara.
We would have been very confident. We probably wouldn't really have seen the threat of the Meath team, because a lot of the Meath players, they weren't household names at that stage. They were all sore ends for the previous 10 years.
Which of these sides has the greater resolution? McLyon's fisted down, but only to the waiting Tommy Carr. Trying to get by his marker. Joe Castle coming in to make a challenge. Still with Tommy Carr, however. And look at the rain just simply teeming down.
Bhí cúntaí mí a gimmert an lá sin mar a bháil inne cúpla bliain ribhe. Bhí siad bhfad níos cliste cumá agus bhfad níos dírithe conas an chluthe immert.
It didn't matter how we won that game as long as we just won it. It was energy sapping, it was wet, it was dreary, a lot of physical contact off the ball. No one cared about the standard of football or anything. We just had to get across the line.
As Meath's day finally come. Liam Hayes fists it on. Colin O'Rourke is racing on for it. Here's the chance. That's the insurance point, surely. It means that Meath are 2 points in front. Is there a Dublin response, however? Sean Kearns blows, and Meath have won.
It was a monumental day. I'll never forget, it was just as if a huge load had been lifted off everybody, and suddenly we could hold our heads up again. And that was the start of the breakthrough.
Well, that's a moment I know that some of the Meath players thought they would never see.
So not only did they beat Dublin in '86, but they cracked the secret to beating Dublin teams.
Well, it's been a long, long time, Ger. A long, long time. And I suppose the old saying, doesn't matter in for the penny, in for the pound. And if we didn't win today, well, some of us could be taking an awful long walk.
Cháilíonn bhí an éithíorí sa glufi leachcheanais an bhliain sin. A chan 1987 bhí ar a glufi ceanais Lion. Rúmpa bhí Blacklia, Gidi an horanna hóil ar éis.
Us séad chunna na mí go bhétar siad goil cos céimeile agus sé sin críomh na héadne bhchant. Goil amach na Blacklia, séad muid taí go rá muide níosár na Blacklia agus sin héis blianta bheits bhásach.
Brian Stafford looking for his second point. He's got it. Hagan had given him far too much room.
It was acceptable, to me to win a Leinster in 1986, and that was fine. But Dublin were very proud. They certainly didn't want to lose another Leinster final to the lads down the road.
They were always going to be a threat, and once they had got over the psychological barrier of beating Dublin, they then had the tools to go on and continue to beat Dublin.
Here comes David Peggy. This is a great run. He's got Bernard Flynn to his right. He puts it over the bar. He has a man to his left.
The Imrorley, Mark, Colin O'Rourke, Jerry McEntee, agus ní amháin mór ó thaobh corp de. Bhí siad mór ó thaobh agna agus éire magna, agus bhí antionachar ar misneach agus an láidreacht sin an foireann. Bhí an sais éire magna a bhí gcuine i mbaile clia a réit na seachtaí agus na tús na thugtaí, bhí sé anis ag Seán Boylan agus cúntaí na mí.
Bhí rudí trééis ahrú go mór sa chuig ag an státe sin, bhí an blasach chu gáir na cluichí mór a bhí siad trééis Blacklia a bhuachant. Thuspáin siad gur mar ionad nó mar forann bhí siad tagil le céile go mórhhar.
Great game. Good run by Liam Hayes. A hard challenge from David Cardiff. He fights off the challenge, gives it to Bernard Flynn, who tried to get into a scoring position. Under a lot of pressure, however.
In '87 Leinster final, I recall, it was a tough start. There was a lot of niggling early on. Both teams cancelling each other out, if you like, and there was a lot of off-the-ball stuff going on. There was a lot of hitting, there was a lot of pulling, dragging.
It's Liam Hayes with the first attack for me. A nice ball through to Brian Stafford. Stafford and Jerry Hargan in the run. So, a nasty start. Had a lot of impetuosity.
Cinál pelle bhí chuna na mí agus bla clia gimmert. Bhí siad mar an céana. Bhí an tréinál cinál mar an céana. Bhí tú caintear go gahabh dubh láidir a gimmert pell.
There was such an edge and there was such a need to be on top, that games often got out of control and tempers often flared.
People went hell for leather for the ball and so on. And I think Mick Lyons was the captain, and Mick was maybe guilty of a wild challenge or whatever it was.
And Mick Lyons stands his ground and meets the challenge.
Má leabhraíonn tú faoi an bhí agus Black Lia tá tú gáinnig chun leabhart faoi Stoke an physiciúlacht a bhí ansna cléí sin. Ní mé chun rágur a fuair le Mick Lyons ach bhí sé ceantas nimróí a bhí a seasamh sa bailach an tamar fad nó bhí Black Lia ar géirí scórna aimsiú.
But referee Aldridge is not happy that he did it legally. And now a bout of fisticuffs has broken out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players involved there. Extraordinary scenes, really.
It was certainly taken for granted that that type of thing would happen between Dublin and Meath, because both teams were trying to assert themselves.
There's a lot of niggle in this Leinster final, a lot of tension, a lot of drama.
Ach buad an bhí a grún cá cinúnach I lár na páirce.
And that's not so smart either from Mr. Simmons. Bursting his way forward. Looking for the point, under intense pressure.
We really felt that day we were actually on top, we were dominant, and particularly up front, if we were getting the ball inside that day, we felt we could do damage. And I think our sort of forward play that day was a little bit more cohesive and a little bit more productive than theirs, with less possession. That was the difference in the two teams that day.
Matthew McCabe's goal separating the sides. Kenny and Murphy to Matthew McCabe. A point for Meath, perhaps, from Matthew McCabe. Yes, in a twinkling. But it's all over. Seamus Aldridge blows the full-time whistle. Meath supporters swarm onto Front Park. Another tremendous victory for Meath on a scoreline of 113 to 12 points.
Shantain fuisha bháin I bhí ag Black Lia an lá sin. Chula ar an gléas méideatha gá. Gur a Stephen Roach as Black Lia tar hééis an Tour de France a Ruchtáil ar an Champs-Élysées. Sin ein 10 ábhar ceiliúra bhí ag na Dubs an lá sin.
Stephen, goodbye, Dublin.
It's 20 years since their last win.
Grún bhí craobh na héireann an Laochra gon bhliain sin. Ach bheith Black Lia a feideamach ó be Gael Lion an bhliain dar gíon a ríist.
The 54th league final is underway between the country's two most successful sides.
Chas Black Lia agus an bhí ar a chéile lógamá 1988 I glufi canis na srathe.
Bouncing it forward, punched on to McCabe from Stafford. Here's Flynn, big chance. He chips it over the bar and the sides are level yet again. I suppose it would be fitting if they both live to fight another day.
Tríoch na siad corm an chéad lá, híana hochtag Black Lia ein cholín déag ag an bhí. Chun bhí champagne na héireann ar Horace Gomenican na sin. Dilidir go na hemmert, agus ní a stop a bile hub.
Transferring to Hayes, open space in front of him, pursued by Tim O'Driscoll, about to come into shot. A great goal!
Tétará go bine cean gan na clufií is sár a riamh I dimmer chun na mí.
A marvellous penetrating run by Liam Hayes.
Bhí an lámh an Uachtar is tócha caiilte ag Baile Lia ó 8 araig, agus tá sé an dachar in éon cuid don saoil nuair a chailann tú an lámh an Uachtar in éon sport tá sé an dachar all arás.
Grún bhí dó trí déag an éon cholín déag. Grúidir clufi canis Lion an 88 chomá cé gur Black Lia felsaige. Bhí na dribble san éireachab agus bhuidir craobh na héireann a ríist.
And today he enjoys his proudest moment.
1988 agus gon chearthú bliain as a chéile, buiad a bhí a glufi canis an chúige ríist. Bhí Black Lia 10, mar gur trí cín as a chéile cáilteachab.
It had become desperate for us at that stage in terms of we only had one other team to beat in Leinster, and we hadn't managed to beat them. And they happened to be very much our arch rivals. They were chasing All-Irelands, we were chasing Leinster titles. That, at this stage, that was probably the difference. They just got a taste for it, and they really lapped it up. And I think they found the weak spot in Dublin. And when I say that, I think it was not only being physically strong, but being mentally strong as well, and being prepared to go toe-to-toe with Dublin players. Sean Boylan had a lot to do with that as well, because he was a very clever individual.
At this stage, haven't met as often as we had met. Dublin had tweaked their team, they'd made changes and so on. Ours was very much nearly like, there were a couple of changes, but not many changes, because you were National League champions, you were All-Ireland champions, you were Leinster champions, and there was very little that wasn't known about each other's teams.
Is cínta go bhhain Laochra díaltas go chudéigean amach a glufacanis lein 1989. Now, cúpla seachtain ribhinn glufisin ar nói bhris Mick sa chuis agus níor se ná immers go chunda na mí buile mór sin mar bhí Mick ag an nám áirithe mar an lán chúlaí is fearr sa tír.
Well, against Dublin, the one player you didn't want to go out on the field without was Mick Lyons. He was such, he was such an inspirational leader. He had an effect on the Dublin forwards coming in, no matter what way they were coming in, to think twice about it on another occasion. He was an inspirational leader against Dublin, probably worth 3 or 4 points, there's no doubt about it. He was a loss.
Bhí Mick Lyons an asnamh, agus bhí se le bra, lo go más a glufa.
Kieran Duff was playing centre half forward. He gave Terry a little push, a gentle push.
Duff with Ferguson. Duff pushed in the back and got away with it.
He got the ball and he turned. And he went on a solo run. He took that many steps with the ball. I still see Bobby O'Malley coming out from the corner, and Bobby doing this to the referee. Steps, 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 steps. A screamer, an absolute screamer of a shot up into the Meath net.
Oh, great goal! Kieran Duff. A magic goal by a great footballer.
If Mick was there, there's no doubt about it, that goal that shouldn't have went in, hopped off Martin O'Connell's arm, that definitely would have went in if he was there in full back position, I've no doubt about it.
Kieran Duff, who's going to be a thorn in Meath's side today.
The una gach duine go rinne sé sin cóú agus cómá agus cócrín agus thug sé sin sppraga ionach de gach duine san Park an Crocaigh a bhí takeíocht ag go mór den imróí.
Croke Park is throbbing with the opposition of the big two of Leinster football. Carr is in.
Bhí Blackleach an cíine glehamma, hí na cúg an éis seach gólín, ach bhí tríoch a cúg nó med pelle le nimmer fós.
To Bernard Flynn. It's over the top and it's level at Croke Park. Liam Hayes trying to get through. He's looking for something. Into it's Matty McCabe. There's a man who loves the Royal County.
Bhín hosalachtair go ben scéal céan a bhí an a ríist go Blacklia.
Now, tá achtarháin a hín me sé dermod go deoir sa glufa sin, agus se an teachtar rún glufa. Barney Rock, kick war ár de steach ó lár na pártge, a dhéana me dermod go deoir Vinnie Moore Murphy, I gairí sa spéir, há fáil go halínta, a casa, agus chá kickeal go kilchánta I steach sa neangach.
Drops to Vinnie Murphy. That's a brilliant goal by Murphy. On the outside of his right foot.
For the first time in Meath Dublin matches, our concentration levels with 6, 7, 8 minutes to go weren't what they were in previous games, and I think that's what we got caught near the end there.
Dublin go for the clincher. Galvin.
Hála rud an lá sin ná hála riamh lí na mí sios agus níor rinne siad mór an éireacht tacht arás nó an cluthe a sábháil in Ainsley.
I remember that it was quite close all the way, and I remember during the game feeling we're going to win this one.
McNally goes for a score and gets it. It breaks down to Murphy again after a rip-roaring final. And it's all over.
A cháileidir chlufi lechanis na héireann in áid fuir an ionta chulca.
This is John Cleary from the penalty. Expertly put away, and it's Cork for the final.
Nuideag nuacha, an cúgiú blian as a chéile leis an dá ar an chéanna I glufi canis lein. Rud nar thar le hana, agus is beag duine imach se tuairthacham.
As Paddy Collins, one of the game's most respected officials.
This big long ball was kicked down towards the canal end, all right? And that ball, it nearly like hung in the air.
To Brady.
The questions were asked, was he in the square, was he not in the square?
A dangerous one for John O'Leary. And it's in. Very first attack. Brady floated it in.
It was a goal. It was a bizarre goal, and it sort of shell-shocked Dublin. And Meath went on a roll.
A perfectly fair challenge and a perfectly good goal by Colm O'Rourke. Was Colin Brady. Good call there.
One V, Watkin Keane to Gael.
Intense clash, fetched by Liam Hayes. To the unmarked right half back, here he is. Going for a pot himself.
We were bombarded that day for the first 15-20 minutes. And it was kind of a case of running around trying to find the ball, running around trying to find your man. They came out actually to win the game in the first 15-20 minutes, if that's possible to do.
Stafford. Well, that'll make up in part, at least for the one that got away.
In my time playing against Dublin, it was the first time really ever at half-time that we were so far ahead in every aspect of the game, on the scoreboard, territorial-wise.
Meath side which has looked the sharper, and at half-time they lead by a goal and 2 points against the game Dublin team.
Looking at our own players, there's always that little bit of quietness or silence when you go in at half-time and you know that this is not going to be an easy day at the office. This is going to take a huge amount of character and it's going to take a huge amount of willpower.
Set to get the second half underway.
Agus Juan Vín is fudjach in Keane to Sadar na lehe. Here na day in I Hoykolin.
The second half, having got the first half, making some good ground. The support from Colm O'Rourke. A real hit and hope one.
Rana Shagaro Black clear Bulche. Achan Shin, Rashla Hub, Agus Shach Golin Asihele.
Vinnie Murphy. And that's high, and that's put over the bar. And up on the hill, all of a sudden they see their team come within a goal and a point of Meath.
We took our foot off the accelerator. We dropped our concentration levels. We stopped working the way we were working in half-time. And they just bombarded us with attack after attack after attack.
4 points between them. Meath the leaders. David Foran, outside of the boot, held by Joe McNally. Awkward angle, high and over the bar, and this is the goal of the game. The hill alive. 2 points the margin. This is a Keane's kick. And that's a vital score. The Meath fans, I think, have felt that their team has had this match won. And now all of a sudden, they're having to live on their nerves somewhat.
Achníor an bhí builte fós acab. Jerry McEntee a hosan glúiseach agus bhí solas an lei atar a baríist.
That looks to be a match winner. The Meath fans celebrating in the stands. And it's all over. A tremendous Leinster final.
At the end of the day, I remember coming in off the field, sitting down in the dressing room, and just everybody looked at each other with just a total state of shock and just total relief. We got out of jail.
I would say probably the biggest low was the 1990 game. Because we had done enough over the previous year or 18 months to beat Meath in the 89, to turn around and think that we had a few years now dominant again. And it was like a slap in the face that you're not out, you're back in your box again for another year.
Hard battling stuff it really is. And Liam Hayes trying to get through. Meath looking for something. In goes Matty McCabe!
In fact, Karen O'Cui Blinta bhí an mí just cúpla cos game agus cúpla orlach níos ládra, níos tapúla, níos dírithe ná bada clia.
It was the best buzz of my life was the Dublin-Meath rivalry, and I was in the middle working in it, living in it, playing in it. The supporters were mixing together and the banter they had, the cultures coming up from Meath, the rednecks, up to Jackiens. Like, the fun that people had in the stands, there was never hate as far as I'm concerned.
Spán an bhí Rashid an sin chun, écht na móra bhaintach agus a spáin si de ré tréimh se Sean Boylan ó níd agus a thugta sé trí go dtí níd agus an ócha is a rá gur fur an anna difriúla bhí an agus is é stocha fós an nóíocht atá idir an bhí agus blach lia bunathe ar na cléthe sin ó níd go thugta sé is a rá.